welcome or welcome back. My name is Sophie and I do videos about weight loss, infertility, and lifestyle. In today's video, I wanted to reflect on my HSG experience that I had a few months back and finally talk about it again and give you guys some tips if you are about to head into your HSG or you think that eventually you'll have to get this procedure done. I want to give some reassurance and some tricks that I have learned since doing it and have come out of it fine, and I really want to share that with you guys. I think that an HSG is just so scary for many of us, and I don't want anyone to go into it being afraid. So if you're interested in hearing my tips and tricks, please keep watching. So here we are 5 months after my HSG. My number one tip would be to not go into it afraid or have a fear of that pain that you've heard so much about, because that experience of the HSG being so painful, it's definitely a reality for some, but it's also false for others. And I think my number one thing is to try and not go into it fearing that pain or being your source of anxiety for months before your HSG. I know that I thought about the pain of an HSG for 2 months before my actual HSG, and it riddled me with anxiety. It would wake me up at night, and it is the worst thing that I did to myself because in the end, for me anyway, it wasn't very painful at all. And I did a lot of things to not deal with pain during my HSG that I will share. But overall, I think that the worst part of this whole procedure was the anxiety that I put upon myself before the actual procedure. So if I could give you any tip, it would be to not fear pain for this procedure. I know it's easier said than done, but that's truly the conclusion that I've come to since the HSG, and literally right after it was done, I was like, why was I fearing this so much? My tip number 2 would be to talk to a healthcare professional, either your family doctor or your OBGYN or whoever else is in your corner, about the fears and anxieties that you have going into the HSG. I know that I was so anxious that I did end up talking to my family doctor, who ended up prescribing Ativan to me to calm me down, and it is one of the things that helped me the most when I went into my HSG. I also took Advil and Tylenol, and that might not be the right combination for you, but definitely talk to your family doctor and see what pain relief that you can take before your HSG to make sure that it's as pain-free as possible, because I think that without the Advil, the Tylenol, and the Ativan that I took before I went in for my HSG, the pain would have probably been worse than it actually was. Another thing that I would strongly recommend is to prepare for the emotional pain that an HSG can actually bring you. I think we focus so much on the physical pain that an HSG can bring that we forget that emotionally it could be a very devastating day for you. And I was very much unprepared. I went into my HSG thinking that my tubes were going to be unblocked, that I wouldn't have any issues getting pregnant afterwards, and here I am months later and I'm still not pregnant. And I think that it's one thing that women forget about when you go into your HSG is that you might not get the news that you're so hoping for. And it's unfortunate, but it was the case for me. So I went in thinking that everything was going to be fine. It was going to be really painful, but that emotionally I would be fine. And it was actually the opposite. Physically, I was fine. Emotionally, I was so distraught because I ended up finding out that I had one blocked tube, which makes it harder to get pregnant. I think that being prepared for the emotional difficulty is a better way to go about the HSG than fearing the physical pain. I'm not saying fear your results. Don't fear the results before you even get the results, but at least think about, it could go either way and that's okay. Just know that it's not going to be for sure there's something wrong, and it's not going to be for sure everything's okay. It could go either way, and it could kind of be somewhere in the middle, but just to know that going in, because I wasn't prepared, I feel like emotionally it was a lot harder for me coming out of it than it could have been. So that would be one tip for you. One thing that I would say is try to go into your HSG with a very positive mindset, because to be honest, this is a positive thing. You getting this procedure and finding out if your tubes are blocked or unblocked or whatever it is giving you answers. Any type of procedure like this or blood test, like, we should go into it with a very positive mindset, because these types of procedures actually give you answers and they can help you go forward in your journey of infertility or trying to conceive. And even though you might not get the answers that you're looking for, your tubes might be blocked, you're moving forward either way, because now you know what you need to do to get pregnant. So I think going into it with a positive mindset is good, but to also, like I said in the last tip, to set your mindset that it could go either way. But even if it's a bad result, it's still a positive thing that you went through this, because now you can get answers. I know a lot of you that are watching this have probably watched a ton of videos on HSGs, because you're probably about to go into this procedure and you're nervous. And I think that's completely normal. And if you are fearing this procedure, if you're afraid of what it's gonna be like, that's normal, because it's the fear of the unknown. But I will say that one thing that can maybe calm you down is to make sure that the doctor doing the procedure, the person that is going to be taking care of you at this procedure, is someone that you trust. I know that in Canada that is really hard to accomplish because it's public health care, and I know there are other places in the world where it's like this, but you don't pick and choose who's going to be doing this procedure. But I do think that in the US you can pick who is doing this procedure, so make sure that it's someone that you trust, that you know knows what they're doing, because this could eliminate some of the pain, this can eliminate some of the discomfort, and definitely help with how uncomfortable this procedure is. For me, I was really lucky. It was actually my OBGYN and the director of the fertility clinic that I go to. So I had already met him, I was comfortable with him, and I knew he'd been doing it for like 30 years. He knows this procedure like the back of his hand, and I had no doubts going into it. And that is one of the biggest things. Make sure that you trust that the person that is doing it is going to do everything in their power for it to go well for you. Now, this is more a practical tip, but make sure that you bring some pads, some baby wipes, and wear comfortable clothing. I think most places will offer some sanitary pads to you and probably direct you to a bathroom, but just in case they don't, bring your own pads, because the dye will leak out. And the baby wipes, for me, it was just nice knowing that I could, clean myself down there. And as for the comfortable clothing, you're going into a hospital, you're going into a medical clinic, just try to be as comfortable as you can. You don't know how you're gonna feel afterwards. It might be a bad day. So dress comfortably so that you don't have to worry about that once you get home. I was wearing sweatpants and a sweater, and I was so glad I was wearing something comfortable, because I was just devastated, to be honest. So I would say those are the 3 things I would prepare to bring and to wear. This next tip is really important. I think that if you're going into the HSG, you know you're about to get some results, whether it's positive or negative. And I would say to have 1 or 2 people ready to take your call or read your message once you're done. For me, that was my husband and my mom. So as soon as I got out of the HSG, my husband picked me up, and I couldn't drive because I was on Ativan, but he picked me up, and I cried and I told him what was going on, and I needed him for support. And I think he went to get me some McDonald's or something, I don't remember, but he was a great support for after the bad news, because these are HSG, you get instant results. So you know right away if your tube is blocked or unblocked. And then I also had my mom ready to take my call. So she knew that I was going in for my HSG at 11 a.m. on that Monday morning, and she was waiting for me to call her with some news. So as soon as I got home, I called her, I vented to her, I cried to her, and she listened to me and she was there to give me some great advice. And to have two people in my life that I knew would be there for me after this news was really, really nice. And I think even if I would have gotten like really great results, I would have wanted to share with a couple of people in my life. So have one or two people on standby that know when your appointment is, that know you're about to get some results in this infertility journey or this trying to conceive journey. This was an immense help for me because, like I said, I wasn't prepared for how sad I was gonna be, and I was really, really glad that I had my mom and my husband there for me afterwards. The last tip that I have might be really annoying to hear, but the HSG, this procedure that you're about to head into, is literally 30 minutes of your life. And if I could tell myself anything before going in, is that whether it causes me pain, whether it's uncomfortable, whether it's a really bad moment in my life, it's just a moment in my life. And it lasts 30 minutes at most, the whole thing. I mean, the procedure itself is literally 5 minutes. But, you know, heading into the hospital, getting into the hospital gown, getting the HSG done, getting the hospital gown off, heading into the car, 30 minutes. And it's such a small moment in time. And it's also a small moment that will make a big difference. So even if you're terrified of the pain like I was, even if you can't sleep at night thinking about it, try to remember that it's all gonna be over soon. And it's really just that. Like, you're gonna move on with your life after. I think that's one of the biggest things I have a hard time with is anything that I know might cause any type of pain, I think about for days, months, weeks, and then I head into it and then it's done and it's over. And I'm like, why did I waste so much time thinking about this? I would even say stop scrolling the internet for HSG videos and testimonials and articles because it's just gonna cause you more stress. And you're going into something that's going to be over before you know it. And everything's going to be fine. There's only good that can come out of this in the sense that you're getting answers. So please keep that in mind as you're going through this really hard journey. So those were all the tips and tricks that I had to share with you guys today. I hope some of them can help you out. And I hope that my experience of overthinking and freaking out can actually make you do the opposite and go into this really calmly. If you have any questions about the HSG or you want to share your own experience, my comments are open to you. I always answer every single one of your comments. If this video was helpful to you in any way, please give this video a like. And if you like this type of video, if you want to follow along on my infertility journey or my weight loss journey, or you also like vlogs, I do those too, please subscribe to my channel. I post a new video every 4 days. And I'd love to have you be a part of our little community here. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.